going into 2021 is don't share your space with unlike-minded people. And repeat that again. Don't share your space with unlike-minded people. You see, your life is made up with space. You got a living room space, you got workspace, sleep space, you even got a space to eat at. Now, don't get it twisted. There are things moving in these spaces. You just can't see it. But for simplicity's sake, let's call it air, right? And guess what? Air is also a form of energy because air moves. So there's energy that is constantly being moved around you. Don't think it's stationary, even if you don't notice it. And this energy is being constantly caught up in the space around it. The air is the energy is being stuck in certain areas. Let's call them orbs, right? Kind of like how the earth orbits is around the sun, right? So the earth is caught up in the sun's space. You get it? The same way the sun creates or created an orb is the same way we are creating orbs in our own space of reality. Now, people carry energy orbs all the time. You know, the people in your life that make you feel some kind of way, and then the other people that don't make you feel some kind of way. So don't try to live your life trying to act like you don't know what's going on. The energy fields are present. And you see, you give people power when you give your energy to their orbits. So that's why today I'm going to explain 4 reasons why you must not share your space with somebody unless their mindset is agreeable to yours. And this is going to get deeper with each reason. So please stay with me. All right. Grab your pen and paper. Stick with me here. All right. Now, we're going to go over the first one. The first reason why you don't want to share your space with unlike-minded people is because it's kind of like, remember when you're growing up, you were living with your parents or living, like, let's say you live with a friend under their roof, right? But you're trying to be independent. So they can kind of give you, let's say, a curfew, or they can set limitations for you because it's their house, right? So at your best case scenario, the best case scenario, if you don't allow them to influence you in the way that's comfortable to them, and you try to claim that you and them are equal, it's going to be a problem. Why? Because you're sharing a space that's not aligned. You get it? You're getting caught up in an opposing orbit. You're not heading in the same destination, to where every time you come across this person, there's going to be oppositions to what you're trying to do, and there's going to be butting of heads. So you don't want to share your space. You want to just move out of that space, because then that's the only way it'll be awkward for them to tell you what to do. So if this is your current situation, or then it's best to fix this first before trying to move forward with your life. All right. Let's move on to the second reason. The second reason, and this is a more common reason why you don't want to share your space with unlike-minded people, is because if you're not careful, you can get caught up in the energy being moved around them. And then before you know it, you are orbiting around what they got going on. And that's not what you're supposed to be doing for you, right? So then what ends up happening is you lose a sense of yourself. So let's go into an example. Let's say there's a person, they can always be the bearer of the news, right? Now, many of y'all still listening to the news, right? And that energy space has an intention to suck you in and get you to go around that orbit. Now, some of your friends or your family that you're living with may already be a victim of this. And they're not realizing that they're working for someone else's agenda. And then they subconsciously bring that orbit around you. Now, don't get me wrong. News itself in itself isn't good or bad. It's not right or wrong, but there is such a thing as becoming as the news being right or wrong for you. So let's go over some examples of news that's designed to get you wrapped up in some kind of vortex. Here's one. Great news. I want you to go to college so you can get a good job. Now, let's say you appreciate this person, you allow them into your space to influence you. Well, if you don't want to go to college, a person might end up going to college for, and they don't even want to be there. Let's say they want to become an entrepreneur. Let's say they want to start a trade. Now they're doing something and they're allowing somebody else to float. And that person doesn't even know why they wanted you to go to college. They heard it from somebody else. So now they're a victim of it too. Another one is another type of news could be, hey, great news. I want to remember this isn't good or bad. The question is it good or bad for you? Another one is great news. I want to take you out for a Sunday fun day at the beach because you need a break. I'm your friend. I like you. I care. You need to take it easy. Now, what happens if you need to make 100 calls that day so you can close 5 sales? The news isn't good or bad. The question is it good or bad for you? You have to be careful of the people around you. You must be vigilant to the things that can be right or wrong for you for your own individual nature. Because when you do something out of your nature, you're the only one that's getting unaligned. Then it's only you that start to drift because it's your orbit. You drift out of your own orbit, right? And imagine if the if the Earth drift out of the orbit of the sun. Oh my goodness, right? So you know how it feels when you get unaligned. You know how it feels when you get washed up by some currents that just come out of nowhere from what's happening around you. It kind of feels like you're drowning, right? You're doing yourself an injustice, which leads us to the third reason why you don't want to share your space with unlike-minded people. The third reason why you don't want to share your space with someone that's not on the same mindset or the mission as you is because what's wrong for you may be right for somebody else and vice versa. Now we're getting deeper, okay? What's right for you may be wrong for somebody else. What's wrong for somebody else might be right for you. Stay with me here, okay? I have an example of something that happened to me last night at a Christmas party, right? Now, I have a gentleman that, he's been welcomed into as a part of the family. He's been dating my sister. But the problem now they've been together for 2 going on 3 years now, but the problem was when they first got together a few years ago, there was a little domestic altercation, which, knowing my sister growing up, it was I'm gonna say that it wasn't one-sided. Um, it was probably has some instigation to do with it, and it was probably over exaggerated. However, at that time, it just is what it is. It looked bad on his part. So he got kind of ostracized because what happened was is that there was a Christmas party that he couldn't attend, right? And he felt bad. He felt alienated, right? So some years passed by. They had children together. Everything's good now. They're still together. And this year he got invited to the Christmas party, right? So he came to Christmas party. Only there was one little thing though that he's been dealing with before he even came to Christmas party. Drink. He likes to drink. He drinks, right? Remember, you have to know what's right or wrong for you. For him, drinking isn't good. So he comes to the party, and remember, there was an a previous situation that happened a few years ago with domestic violence, right? So it was already a bad light was shining on him, right? So here was the situation. He had an idea. His idea was there was one. My other brother just had a brand new born baby, not even, I wouldn't say 2 or 3 months old, not even 2 months old. He wanted to hold the baby, right? I haven't even hold the baby yet, and that's my sister, right? Okay, he wanted to hold the baby. Now, my brother and his wife, they felt some kind of way about him holding the baby. They didn't want him to hold the baby. So he felt some kind of way, right? Now, the problem was that he couldn't hold the baby. So his idea was he wanted to hold the baby. The problem was he couldn't hold the baby because of whatever reason. His solution, so there's 5 steps in creating a understanding of something, right? A seal of a situation. So step 1 is the idea. Step 2 is the problem. The step 3 was the solution. His solution for that and many other things in the past has always been he drinks to, make him feel better or calm down or whatever for his reason, right? But the problem is that most people stop there. Most people stop at the solution and not think all the way things all the way through to the end. So the solution is drink and relaxing, but what's the conclusion of that? The conclusion is that when he drinks, for him, he has to know what's right around for him. For him, drinking makes him lose control. Uh, so this is a crazy story. He got upset about how he felt about not being able to hold the baby. He went outside and he jumped into the lake. Now, this lake had all kinds of critters and stuff in it. Now, that was the conclusion. And then that's step number 4. Step number 5 is the emotion. The emotion after that situation is now he created more awkward feelings for himself. I don't even want to hold my baby. If I ever have a baby, I don't ever want him to hold it either. Like, you're making things awkward. You see? So the goal is to pinpoint where things started going south for him. It wasn't his idea to hold the baby. It wasn't even that he had he felt some kind of way about that somebody didn't, because it's all how we deal with our situations, right? It started going south when he decided how to respond to his problems. And it's not that drinking is not a good solution. It's just that drinking wasn't a good solution for him because it led to a conclusion and an emotion that he didn't like. And not just him, I didn't like it either. So again, what's wrong for you might be right for somebody else, and vice versa. You got to be vigilant to the things that can be right around for your own individual nature. The point here is that the alcohol has its own energy orbit that knocked him out of his own orbit that was working towards his goals in his life. I know just holding the baby wasn't his goal, but now his situation has gotten worse. So team 6, the point is, are we going to be influenced or are we going to be the influencers? Are we going to stand strong or are we going to get sucked into another person, place, or thing's orbit? Because if you get sucked in, you'll find yourself dealing with the reason number 4 why you don't want to share your space with unlike-minded people. The 4th reason and the last reason why you don't want to share your space with unlike-minded people is because as it's orbiting and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, subconsciously it starts subconsciously, but then consciously you start to find yourself being concerned with the issues of that specific orbit. This is getting deeper. Let me give you an example. This worldwide pandemic. Now, when I look around, I don't see nobody around me falling out in the streets. I don't see nobody falling out. When I go on YouTube to look at personal people's videos or go on Facebook Live, I don't see anybody getting out of breath about this pandemic situation, right? I mean, this virus travels all over the globe, but it can't get through social distancing. I mean, just to me personally, just doesn't make sense. Let's leave it there. But guess where we all learned about this virus? Not virus. Guess where we learned about this pandemic? It wasn't through personal experience. It was through TV, through the television. Team 6. The world has got sucked up into this vortex. And now everyone's concerned with issues of this specific orbit. People are concerned if now they're living their life saying, oh, wait, I forgot my mask. I got to go back to my car to put it on. Oh, this mask is dirty. I got to get another one. Oh, I'm running low on masks. I got to get more masks. Now people are being concerned with the issues of this vortex. People are now concerned about now talking about taking vaccines. There are now issues attached to the orbit. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years people start being concerned with paying a tax to breathe clean air. So many things out there, and many things out here are creating energy orbits for you to get sucked into. And you end up making the energy orb huger. And don't think for a second that there's not groups of people out there controlling these energy orbits that we've been getting sucked into. Every store you go into now, it's like you committing a heinous crime. If you don't have your mask on, everything's, hey, you make sure you social distance. It's just an example, though. And wrapping yourself up in that energy you don't need to be in, guess what's going to do? It's going to drain your energy. You're not going to have any energy left for yourself and your own orbits. You didn't come up with the idea that of many things that's happening to you. You have to be vigilant and be aware. Because when it's time to create space for your own reality, you're not going to have any ideas left. You're going to be stagnant. You're going to be too worried about time. You're going to be worried about paying the bills or paying the dues of that orbit that you got sucked into, like getting sucked into a cable bill, getting sucked into a vacation bill, a holiday bill. Get it? And every year, their people are gonna, they wonder why they're not getting ahead. And they keep dealing with the same things. It's because the person's drifting. So whatever you want to do in your life, you can do it. You just got to go out there and search for it, and then you'll start attracting the energy orb of that intention. We must, we got to get aligned. What we got to do is we got to get aligned with the people who have the same energy, the same intention, the same goals. That's right for us and is agreeable to us. So then if we do decide to share our space with those people, we can all then come together and create a bigger orb. And things can go a lot further when the energy starts to travel in it. It's kind of like what we're doing here, right? You see, this is why it's good to work on common goals and in common groups with like-minded people. And then we start to manifest our desires in that we're building and creating a mastermind. And things start to get done in a mastermind. This is why they say be careful of what you think about, be careful what you say, be careful what you do, because it all carries a certain amount of energy. And everything that you put out is going to create some type of orbit into a larger space, It's going to keep influencing your surroundings in a positive or a negative way, depending on how the person looks at it or sees it or what's right or wrong for them. So let's be careful to see if somebody is on the same mission as ours before we start talking about sharing our space with them. Okay? It's going to be better for you to remain two separate entities that agree to meet up for a short space of time, like hey, just because I go to the store to buy a slice of pizza doesn't mean me and the pizza man, we're gonna be cool and live our life. No, it's just a short space of time, right? We're just meeting up for a little bit of time, and then I gotta go. We gotta part ways. I gotta go and do what I gotta do. Because listen, Team 6, there's a lot of naive people out there that's getting thrown off of their own orbit, and we call these people drifters, the ones who don't think for themselves. And I'm not saying that they won't eventually someday achieve their success. It's just that they're currently drifting. So it's going to take them a lot longer for them to get to their destination based on their path. All right, let's begin to wrap this up. And I'm going to hand it back over to Mrs. Tritina. Team 6, listen. When you know that you have a higher level of awareness, when you know you listen to that Jim Rohn, you personal developing yourself, you working on yourself, when you know you have these things, you also are aware that you have a higher level of power. And just like Uncle Ben said in Spider-Man to Peter Parker, what did he say? He said, with great power also comes great responsibility. So when you know you have a higher level of awareness about energy orbits, when you know you have a higher level of awareness about influencing your reality and people around you, guess what? It's also your job. It's also your duty. It's also your concern to make sure that your family members and your friends don't feel like you're looking down on them. Because technically that's what's happening, right? Psychologically, right? You see, depending on how you come across with your mannerisms, with your communication, it's going to come off like you think you're better than them. But you got to be careful. Because remember, before it comes out into your actions, it starts off as the energy orbs that's around you. And it's going to come off, it's going to start in your subconscious. And your friends and family may feel your vortex of, you think you better than me before you even say a word. I'll give you a simple example of this. They may say something negative, and you might have been listening to something on your personal development journey, and now you want to help them. So you feel it's your job, your duty. You got to prove something to them or teach them something about what they did or what they said. It comes up that simple. It can rub them the wrong way. So you got to be aware of these things. So Team 6, what we just went over are some examples of why you don't want to share your space with unlike-minded people, and examples of what you don't want to happen in your own space. All right. So remember to keep an eye out for these things. And Trathina, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you for sharing that good information. Oh man, a lot of that hit home with me. And I'm sure with the other members, a lot of it has hit home with them.